Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Building a Nation with Polonia Warszawa. It is the analysis episode, of course. So yeah, I'm going to do what we normally do. It's going to be, I don't know, it's hard to know what to make of this episode because I kind of know what I'm planning to do in the summer, which is essentially, we've got a £100 million transfer budget. Maybe we should try and find someone who can take us to the next level a little bit as well and really push for something brilliant. I wouldn't mind winning the Champions League next year, as it's like going to be the final proper season of the save in terms of a YouTube save. But there you go. But we still want to sort of keep an eye on things, like hopefully hold on to as many players as always. Hopefully the influence of Alberto Freitas holds strong as it has for many seasons. Very rarely, we normally only lose about one player a season that actually slips through the cracks, so to speak. Anyway, so Petr Chabal. I normally start with the highest rated star rating player on the team, and that this season is Petr Chabal. He has taken over. 23 years old still. I feel like he's been here for ages. Only has 93 appearances for the club though, but he is considered the best player at the club at the moment. I can't believe he's only 23 years old, and I can't believe, even more so than that he only costs £70,000. He is probably the biggest bargain signing I've ever made on any FM save of all time. He's worth 47 million right now, and that's just his value. If we were to sell him, not that I have any plans to do that, given that the backups aren't exactly fantastic right now, I would want more than 100 million for this guy, in all honesty. So there we go. Well done him. Diogo Vedas, really sort of stepping up this year, starting to catch up with Leandro Albarracin somewhat, which is nice to see. He's got 38 appearances in total, 20 of which have come this season. It's been nice to see him play a little bit more in the league, scored a couple of goals. He's definitely coming along, it's fair to say. Worth 15 million quid now. Pretty solid signing this guy's turning out to be. Vicente, I mean, I don't know what to say about this guy. He's got 29 goals in 46 league games. That is an incredible record that this young Brazilian has. But look, you can see Carroll this season has absolutely flown up in my estimations. And I'm concerned that we might lose someone like Treverio in the summer, and I wouldn't be opposed to it because it would get us a metric buttload of money. And we are so stacked in that attacking midfield role that I actually don't think it'd be the end of the world if Treverio was to leave, to be honest. As long as we have Vicente and Carroll in there, I'd be totally happy with that. Vicente with his, he got 3 goals in the Champions League too, but 19 in the league is utterly stupidly good. Just genuinely phenomenal season from my man Vicente. £24 million, money well spent for me. Moving on, Donny Waterberg. It's amazing that he still has this such high potential considering that he's 24, which clearly means the game is saying this guy really does have it. The problem is he's just not been able to get as much game time this year because Blaise Alisic has been so in form, and he's been so good because he's not been injured most of the time. He only really got that injury towards the end of the year. So Donny Waterberg's only actually made 15 appearances in total this year, 1 goal in the league and 4 assists. And bear in mind, 3 of those 4 assists and the goal came in the final game of the season. So it's not been the most effective season for Donny Waterberg, but I'm still glad he's here at the club. He does such a great job for us. Zico, we can't really say much about him just yet. He's one for the future, but he's got 3 goals for us so far this season. Pretty happy with that. Made some substitute appearances. I think there's a long way to go for the lad, but it's nice to see that he's already starting to, show something. Treverio, he's still played 26 times this year, but only 4 goals and 5 assists, which is a bit less than in previous years. 120 appearances for us. And when you look at his sort of record in previous seasons, he really has stacked up big numbers for us in recent years, getting double figures in the league 2 seasons and one with 8. But yeah, this year, still assist heavy, but maybe he's played a little bit deeper a few times. I don't know. He's still got a decent number of appearances, so perhaps there is something to that. Leandro Albarracin, 181 league appearances for us. One of the sort of stalwarts of the club in nearly 10 years now. £24 million is his value, 28 years old. He's going to get 100 caps for Peru, without a doubt. 7 assists this season in the league is actually quite high for old Leandro, so pleased for him on that one. Rafael Broniszewski. I brought him into the fold this year because I figured it was time that he got a bit more football, considering how well he's done out on loan in previous seasons. And clearly we had some talent in the wings, and with losing Edelberg and whatnot and all that, and Henningsen being crap, I figured it was about time he got some chances, but he hasn't played that much. When he has played in the league though, 2 goals, 3 assists, he's done an okay job, mostly substitute appearances here and there. I still like the guy, and I think he's got a bright future still. Mauricio Coronel, he's had a bit of a weird season in all honesty. Only 11 appearances in the league for us this year. I mean, he's playing in a position that we don't really use, so most of his appearances have come in the Champions League, where he has done reasonably well, but I do kind of feel like Prado is actually, I don't know, I just like him more for some reason. Weird one, that. Mateus Wagawa, he's not had the season that he would have liked to have had, is the best way to put it. he had a great season for Lechia. 32, he scored 20 goals for them last year. This year, he only got 9 goals for them, 10 in all competitions, and that is a huge step down when you look at what he did last year. Like, this season, he's got 10 in all competitions and 4 assists. Last year, he got 25 in all competitions and 5 assists. Like, there's a definite... Obviously, he's played less games, but like he's just not been anywhere near as effective for Lechia this year, and I do wonder if they'd be interested in loaning him next year, or whether he might have to go to someone else. I don't know. Andrea Favela, considering he was a player I did not like when he first came to the club for that entire first season, he's been excellent for the last few years and put up really solid numbers for us in total. So really pleased with old Andrea, although he does always complain about leaving every summer, and it really sometimes I just have to upset him until the other teams eventually just lose interest. That seems to be the way that it goes, unfortunately. So he might be one that eventually might just push that too far. Firmino. This year, despite the fact that he had a pretty slow start to things, he's got 83 appearances for us and 45 goals for us. He's only played 3 seasons at the club, and what an absolute legend this guy has been. For a free signing, what a bargain he was as well. Like, this year, he's got 11 goals in 24 league appearances, so he got into double figures towards the end, and actually put up some really solid numbers in the assist margin. Like, he's not been as good as that first season where he got the 19 goals in the league, but he still puts up solid numbers, and he's played less matches, so I can't really fault the lad. I love him. He's always so useful. Kelvin for Posse. Only 61 appearances for us, but he does score a goal every other game, which is quite a solid record, to be fair. Only managed to make 5 Champions League appearances this year, I'm assuming due to injuries and whatnot, which is a shame. Didn't really have the brightest season. I think that might have been part of the reason why we struggled so much in a way, is that we didn't have enough Kelvin for Posse. In the league, he still got 11 goals and 8 assists. It wasn't... At one point, it was shaping up to be his year, but it just hasn't really turned out that way in the end. Like, compared to the previous season, he got 1 more goal, 1 more assist, so he's still been pretty damn good for us, but just not quite to the levels that maybe we would have wanted in the Champions League. I think that's where he's really suffered. Alberto Freitas. What an absolute god. 175 appearances in the league for us. Someone needs to break the 200 barrier, for crying out loud. He's been here 10 years odd, and, I mean, he just keeps putting up numbers. There's nothing more I can say about that. He's just so damn good. Brian Gorosito, wow, he's got 145 appearances as well. He gets about a bit. This year, 9 goals still for us somehow, despite playing a lot deeper for the most part this year. You can really see where he's dropped off as he's played deeper. He got 14 goals one year. But I would say last year he played in that deeper role as well, and this year he really hasn't contributed as much. Although his average rating suggests he's still done a lot of decent stuff, although it might be because of the scorelines. Christian Henningsen, I mean, it's just not worth even talking about. He's made a couple of appearances, that is all. If someone would just put a bid in for him, I would love that so very much. But there you go. Bartolomé Idshak, on loan at Bayern Munich, made 20 appearances for Bayern Munich's B team. Hang on, sorry, let me just get this straight. You complained about going to Bayern Munich, you said you wanted to go there, they signed you on a loan deal that cost them £500,000, and they've not played him a single time in their first team. But he has made 20 appearances with 8 goals and 8 assists while playing for Bayern's B team. What was the point of that exactly, Bartolomé? But he forced the move. There was nothing much I could really do about that. Juan Martín Iglesias, 139 appearances, and he still only conceded 42 goals. Only 24 years old. Love him to bits. Took me a while to get used to him after Franceschi, but he's definitely stepped up nicely. Jose Francisco, only just signed into a new deal. I was going to let him go, but I felt like he was probably worthy of keeping around, so he has stuck around. He might go out on loan, worth an inordinate amount of money, surprisingly. Here we go, here's Carroll. Here is my man, big man Carroll. He's got nearly 100 league appearances, but look at that, 39 caps for Poland at the age of 22, and 9 goals for his country. He's just come out of nowhere this year. And what's really changed this year is his star rating. Now, that might be because of other factors, but he's been phenomenal this season, genuinely. When you look at him compared to previous years, like, he had that one good season where he got 8 goals in the league. And then he had 2 last year and 1 assist. This year, he scored 11 times in the league for us and got 4 assists. Like, there's a real, to me, evidence there that he is actually stepping into the fold as a really, really top quality footballer for us. Now, I'm looking forward to having him around the team more next year. The Llama, you can see now, up to 4 stars. Now, he really has grown, and he's made 70 appearances for us over the last couple of seasons. I think he's starting to rival Falvella as a potential starter, which is why I wouldn't be so bothered if Falvella did push a move, basically. Blaise Ilicic. What a lad. 166 appearances, 66 goals, and 4 caps for Poland. Are we having a laugh here? 15 goals and 31 assists this season. I mean, that's Salvi numbers. Genuinely, that is Salvi numbers. It's up there. 31 assists in total is crazy. 15 goals is also an excellent return. I have to know. You know, we got 8 assists in the Champions League too. Like, he's had some good years. That 14 and 14 season he had was phenomenal. 10 and 9 last year wasn't bad either, but this year 6 and 21 is crazy numbers, and an average rating of an 8.08. There's a reason why this lad won the Ballon d'Or, and I think he thoroughly bloody deserves it. But what he also thoroughly bloody deserves is some Poland caps. But unfortunately, I just looked at the manager. I've offered him a job again. He's just not interested, and it's so frustrating. Rafael Maka, who's been out on loan at Katowice, hasn't been amazing for them in all honesty, but I do feel like he could really pose a challenge next year, potentially to overtake Alan Olivier as that second choice, because I just love him. He's young and Polish, and I'm just a huge fan of that. John Martinez, the young Spaniard who's coming, he's gone to, he went to Lech for the end of the season, but he didn't actually score a goal for them in that period, which is a bit surprising. But then, I don't know, that does shock me a little bit, but I don't really know what more we can do about that. Kagotso Magotsi, you can see the difference between him and Iglesias, though. He conceded 11 goals in 14 appearances for us this year, whereas, I don't know what Iglesias did. Let's just actually have a look. 4 goals in 19 appearances. I mean, that is a ridiculous difference in terms of their quality. That is undeniable. Prado, a guy I'm actually starting to like more and more. He doesn't get a chance to play very often, but when you look in the Champions League, he has actually put up some solid numbers compared to Coronel. I don't know what it is, but I always see him putting in really good tackles. Alan Olivier, 75 caps, only 2 assists this year, hasn't played quite as much as maybe he would have liked, and maybe this could be the sort of summer where maybe Olivier could move on and make room for someone like Rafael Maka, because he just seems to be going off the boil a little bit, and I'm concerned about that. We'll have a look at the stats, but I am definitely concerned about that one. Abraham Opoku, it does surprise me how he's never managed to force his way in. Played this season at Lechia for a little bit as well. Maybe another loan spell for him next year. I don't know. I just don't see him getting ahead of Veras, frankly. And he's got more players coming through behind him now. Juan Orozco, 174 appearances for us this year. He kind of, at one point, was looking like he was getting out of the team, and now he's just forced his way back in. 26 years old, 22 appearances for us this year in total. Made some Champions League appearances, but mostly played behind Gorosito for the most part. Pandurovic, 196 league appearances, not quite up to 200. Didn't play as much games this year as perhaps he would have liked, but the fact is he's been here for a very, very long time. I think he might be our longest standing player outside of someone like Zvegawa. I don't know. Ibrahima Pereira, this has been the year for him. 26 goals in the league, 35 in all competitions. Definitely the best season we've ever had from a striker. He got 3 in the Champions League this year. Actually, his lowest tally there for a while. But he did get 26 in the league in 28 appearances. So that's quite a lot. He's got 61 in 80 for us, which is crazy. His goal-scoring record has truly been phenomenal, but you can really see the way it has stepped up. 28 appearances, and he got those 26 goals, really has had the best season of his career for us this season. Although it was pretty solid too, but just his pure goal-scoring form has been much, much better this year. Pimentina hasn't played as much as I thought he would this year, in all honesty, but it's just because he's been so far down the pecking order. He's the 5th choice for the attacking midfield role. But I still feel like he's got something to offer, and he won't be going anywhere unless someone bids, but no one's interested in him. So that's kind of good for us right now. Piscula, good, solid backup goalkeeper. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a Poland cap at some point, to be honest. Hugo Rios, youngster, choice for that right-hand side. Definitely got some potential in the future. Played a little bit on loan at Katowice, but again, a lot of this was like half-season loans, so they haven't played as much as they maybe would have liked. And we're back to Petr Chabal. Let's go have a look at the league stats. So, average possession, 57. Good stuff. Gornik. Where are Gornik? Oh, they struggle. They must have a new manager these days. Penalties taken. 14 penalties taken. We scored almost all of them, but not all of them, in fact. One didn't win a lot of headers. Fair enough. Headers one ratio? Could be better, must say. Yellow cards? Nice. Skra, getting a lot of bookings. Naughty, naughty boys. Right, down to attacking. 115 goals. In fact, the other teams have not been very high scoring this year. I swear we often have seasons where teams get into the 70s, but this has been really bad for them, what I would say. Cross completion, 19%. Superb. 533 crosses is crazy. We've got 11 times from corners this year as well. Lecky have been pretty solid from those too. Direct free kicks, we struggle a little bit from those. I'm trying to think. I think Fernino scored one. Katowice, not bad from there. Indirect free kicks, we've only got 1. We really do seem to struggle from those, because I can't do what the AI can do, unfortunately. Pass completion, 81%. Very nice. Skrak completed the most passes in the entire league, and it always amazes me that we keep so much possession, but we're so efficient with it, clearly. Chances created, nearly 100. Couldn't quite get it. Shots on target ratio, bit lower. Again, I would much rather that be higher. We still nearly got to 500 on that one too. Our conversion rate, again, if we could just be that little bit higher, we'd opt for a 200 goal season. Skrak seemed to be fouled a lot. A bit unfortunate for them, really. We're up to 10 dribbles per games now, which is crazy. 19 goals conceded. Certainly nowhere near our best, but we've kind of concentrated more on an attacking side of things. Still, only 3 from set pieces this year, which ain't bad. None conceded from corners. That is such a pleasant thing to see. 2 from direct free kicks, but there you go. Only 1 from indirect free kicks, so that is actually quite nice to see. Clean sheets. Katowice actually kept the most clean sheets. Stalis Solbakken has got them actually really purring, and I'm curious to see what they can actually achieve next year in the Champions League, given that they've got a bye straight into the group stages. And I think Lech will do relatively comfortably get into the group stages themselves too. We've got a strong contingent next season. I'm looking forward to it. It's not like last year where Lech were a shoo-in, but they were the really strong ones, and Lechia struggled. They didn't struggle to get through, but they looked a bit like they could have gone out. And then in the group stages, they actually overachieved, I would say, probably. Tackles 1, ooh, down towards the bottom. Doesn't matter, we don't have a lot of the ball. Tackles 1 ratio, that one always does perturb me a little bit. No penalties conceded. That is a really nice stat to see. Average attendances, 26,000. I think next year ours will probably be the most because we've got one of the biggest stadiums. So they won't let me extend it anymore. I feel like we might have reached a max there and they won't let me do anything more with it, which is a shame. 99% of capacity as well. And we've had a lot more stadium sellouts this year, interestingly. Yeah, highest attendances. They've had a few more, but they don't regularly get them, is what I'm saying. Like, Lechia can get 41,000, but they don't generally get that many sellouts, interestingly. Lowest, wow, look at the highest attendance. Katowice's highest attendance was 6,700, and they're going to be in the Champions League group stages next year. I assume they'll probably get some sellouts in that one, you'd have to say. Net transfer spend, no surprise really. Katowice spent 20 million net. Yeah, we've actually made 60 million. So there's that. How are the finances doing? Lechia, wow, Motor are secure and actually spent some money. Katowice worryingly down to okay now. Legia are secure as well. Motor, wow, that's interesting that they've actually done that. I wonder what their salaries are like. Let's just see. Whoa, Motor have the 7th highest salary payments in the league. Have they got big money all of a sudden? I just want to see. We can see their balance usually. If this is like higher than it should be, 11 million. No, I don't know. I don't know if they do have a lot of money. Captain Wojciech Fijarczyk, nice to see. That is interesting, to be fair. Oh, in the process of a board takeover. Okay. That's interesting. So Motor could potentially be a threat later down the line, maybe at some point. I don't know. It's surprising that they've got the 7th highest wage spending in the division. That's actually much higher than I thought it was. You can see there's a real disparity after that, though. You know, Legia up at 7 million, you know, Lechia 30, Lech Poznan at 14 million, Katowice at 22 million, obviously us on 52 million or whatever, but that's, yeah, interesting to note is what I would say on that one. Let's go to player details, see if we've got any standouts. Obviously we do, most of them. Games 1, interesting, Treverio, 26. That surprises me, actually, considering. Probably from some substitute appearances and whatnot. Oh, that's not what we meant to press. Yellow cards. The most is actually Roko Vojevic. Remember this guy? Because he used to play for us as well and has really just sort of dotted around the Polish leagues for quite some time now, the 29-year-old, after coming in from Suroski Brijeg. Yeah, it's interesting. He didn't play for us much, but I think we got a solid amount of money out of the deal, if I recall. No, he left on a free transfer. Okay, wrong again, Matt. Red cards. Sylvester Filipovic. Yeah, Skrat did get a few red cards. Obviously, Panda got one too. Man of the match, Ronnie Emmerich. Got 6 Man of the Match awards this year for Katowice. He's a German centre midfielder who's 27 years old, who they bought from Bayern Munich. Bloody hell. This is what I mean. They've got some big money flying around that club. And Gigic as well, who's done a phenomenal job this year. Definitely deserves that. Distance covered. Eduardo Flores. This guy is great. I'm amazed they've managed to hang on to him, in all honesty. I've had him on my shortlist for a little while. You can see how good this guy actually is. I'm so surprised that they've kept hold. Oh, club's interested. Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course we're interested because he's on my shortlist. That's interesting, though. I'm concerned they might lose him. Average rating, Blaise Lisig. 8.08 is insanely high. We have the top 12, and then it's a player that used to play for us. Then it's Emmerich and Milinkovic, to be fair, and then a few others. And Bertelmann, actually, I swear he used to play for a big side too. Nope, he's been here for quite... Well, he was only 22 years old. Must have been a different guy with the same name. Headers 1, moving over to that. Freitas has got on there, which is nice. Goals scored. I mean, Pereira with 26, Vicente with 19. But look at that. Mohamed Kone with 16 is a former player of ours. Gigic with 13 is a former player of ours. And we've got Carroll and Fapossi in there too, with Firmino following up the tail there too. Any more surprise? Mateus Vigawa, current player of ours as well. Any others that surprise me? No. Let's see. Average minutes per goal. I mean, that's not a huge surprise. He's been absolutely insane this year. And to be fair, with 168 shots, I wouldn't be surprised. What I would say, though, is Gorosito's had 145 and has scored 3 goals. That is a bit concerning, my man. Shots on target. Well, there's your problem. He's only got 41 shots on target. He's not exactly hit the target. Oh, wow. Blazer Lisic, 70%. Oh, sorry, different guy called Blazer. Damn it. For Posse, 60% is very, very nice, though. Carroll, 56%, would explain his goals. Anyone got a good ratio for us? Yeah, Vicente with 20% does not surprise me one tiny bit. Team goals, 96%. Wow, he really had a weird season. Penalties, Vicente scored 7 out of 7. Fernino scored 3 out of 3. Pereira scored 2 out of 2. Where is our culprit? 21 assists for Place Elise is insane. Shabal come in second with 12, which would be enough to win most seasons, but not even close this year. For Posse with 8, and Fernino with 6. Key passes, Eduardo Flores, nice, up at the top at 66. Elisic, yeah, well, I mean, I'm surprised he's not got more than that, actually, considering the number of assists he's got. Patrick Mallets, of course, I think he's either on loan from us or actually plays for them full time now. That's weird. I swear he was on loan from us. Maybe it's because his contract is expiring soon. I think he is technically on loan from us, but he is joining Nantes at the end of the season. So there you go. Moving down to chances created, Blaise Elisic with 19. That suggests, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Pass completion, 94% is crazy. But no one else comes really that close apart from Orozco down on the low here. Cross completion, 25%. He's just a god. He is an absolute god. 2.8 dribbles per game. Trevero is putting up some solid numbers, to be fair. Team conceded? How has he only conceded 4 goals? That is truly mental. I think most of our bad defending is, honestly, I do genuinely wonder if it was a case of, obviously the Chelsea game aside, we maybe didn't do so good just because we didn't have Iglesias. When you look at the sheer number of goals he's conceded less. Tackles per game? Yeah, we shouldn't really have anyone. Oh, Orozco. Nicely done, mate. Mistakes leading to goals. I assumed it. Wow, it's... oh, yes. Stefan Schaefer. I think 2 of those were in the game against us, in fairness. Still got like a 6 or something, if I recall, though. So there you go. Key tackles. More, isn't there? Key tackles. It's Lino Menezes of Motor. Okay. Key headers. Ibrahim Pereira's won 101 key headers. That is surprisingly high, to be honest. Benno Kunut has got a lot of interceptions as well. Headers 1 ratio. Shot blocked. We shouldn't have anyone on here at all. I wouldn't have thought. No. Goalkeeping. Only conceded 4 goals in 19 appearances is ridiculous. David Buga, though, to be fair, 23 clean sheets for the remaining is pretty solid. Usually it's Jose Antonio Hernandez that's up on the top of that one, but there you go. Saves held and then saves parried. Right, let's move into the actual analysis. This is part now. I'm going to skip on the goalkeepers because we know Iglesias is better. Okay, so centre-back analysis. It's the usual bunch, really. Freitas, Lamas, Valvela, and Pandurovic. Prado, I think he's played there once in the league, maybe twice, just as a sort of covering player, but he's not really relevant to this, in all honesty. So we'll just have a look at this. I imagine it's going to be probably a combination of Freitas and either Lamas and Valvela for most of these. Pass completion, the Lama is out on top, which is good to see. Team goals per 90 minutes isn't super important, in all honesty. The key passes one, though. Prado, obviously, Valvela, Lamas, interesting. Freitas always does weirdly on that one. He always seems to lay it off to a better players, but again, Lamas right up there, which is nice. Team conceded per 90 minutes. Freitas and Valvela, Lama, but again, he's really, really closing into these guys now. Why is that putting 46 above 45? Does it know how numbers work? No, seriously, does it know how numbers work? Okay, sure. Corner FM 46 is now above 45. GG. So, yeah, they're all above a reasonable level, which is nice. Pandurovic, you can see, is much further behind on that one, which definitely shows. Tackles 1, Valvela 91, Freitas 88. Lama, it's still reasonable, although Panda has put in a solid amount of tackles. Interceptions, Lama out in front, in fact. But still, the others aren't far behind. Headers 1. Who's done really well? Yeah, Lama, again, actually is the best header of the ball in the team, in fact, as well. So, to me, in a way, he's actually really proved himself. Now, I know Valvela has put up really decent numbers, but it's undeniable that the Lama has had a really good season as well. And I just think that we've got 3 really excellent centre-backs, followed up with Pandurovic, who's just there and can put in solid performances if and when we need him to be honest. And I'd like to think he'll stay around for a little bit longer to be our backup again. So I'm honestly totally fine with that. I think our centre-backs have never really been a problem, and their ability-wise, I think is fine. Unless I could find an absolute world beater, then I think I wouldn't be anywhere near changing anything in that side. Let's look at the fullbacks now. Okay, so I'm hiding the players that have been on loan because they don't really count for this. So it's actually a fairly straightforward comparison between Veras, Albarracin, and Chabal and Olivier. And I think it's going to be a fairly standard one on this as well. So assist-wise, Chabal has been phenomenal. We know that. But 18 assists in all competitions is actually ridiculously high. And Olivier has really dropped off this year from an attacking side of things. Albarracin with 9. Thiago Veras actually the lowest. So that definitely does that is worth thinking about. Albarracin's actually stepped it up from an attacking perspective this year. So there might be a slight weird thing about that, though, that Veras has actually created a decent number of chances, and maybe the players just haven't been quite so good, whereas Albarracin has created the least, and maybe he's got a bit lucky with that, whereas Chabal is just miles ahead. So that's good to see. Pass completion, it's the standard sort of stuff. Chabal just slightly beating out Olivier, so still good to see. Albarracin beating Veras out by a little bit more. Key passes per 90 minutes. Chabal, again, beating out Olivier by quite a lot, but Veras, again, better key passer than Albarracin. Not by much, but it's certainly worth noting that maybe maybe he is just a bit unfortunate with the fewer number of assists that he's got this year, because a lot of the stuff that could contribute to that seem to have actually worked right. But when we look at the cross completion, I think that's an important tell on maybe that side of things. So dribbles per game, Chabal again flying out in front. These guys just aren't quite there yet. Cross completion, I mean, there's your answer, really. Albarracin is just completing that much more crosses, and it might look like 5%, but it's actually way more when you look at the percentage increase from one to the other. So I think that's the reason why Albarracin has got so many more assists this year, because he's actually really stepped up his game as far as putting crosses in. I swear last year he was never on this kind of level. He really has had a phenomenal season for us this year, and it bodes well, to be honest. Because at one point I was thinking, well, maybe there's room to move Albarracin on, perhaps if the right money comes in, because we've got a viable backup. But I feel like Veras just isn't quite there yet. I think he's definitely ready to be the number 2, obviously because Rurs has left. But I do worry about Alan Olivier. I feel like he might well have just not quite reached where we want. He looked like he was getting there, and I think he's just kind of plateaued now. And I do wonder if Rafael Maka might be the better choice for the second spot next year, maybe, if the right money comes in for Olivier. I mean, how much is he worth? £12 million. There's 9 clubs interested in him, and some of them are fairly large, so we might be able to wheel and deal there, base them off against each other. Anyway, defensive side of things, Albarracin again, Chabal up there, and Veras pretty damn low again. It's a very stark contrast between the two big boys and everybody else, really. Although Olivier has won some more tackles this year, interestingly, considering he's always been considered the more attacking of the two. He's done better in that respect, but Chabal's also done pretty damn well, so you can't really ignore that either. Veras, very good on the interceptions, important. Chabal, very poor on the interceptions, actually, though I guess it's the main thing is that Veras is a standout here. And headers won. Veras and Albarracin, very, very good in the air, both of them, which is really, really nice to see. Chabal, only marginally better than Olivier, but maybe Maka would do better in those positions. I don't know. So with the fullbacks, it's kind of a case of, I think we need to kind of stick with what we have on the left. Because we do have backups there too with Mirambel and technically Apoku. But I do wonder if maybe moving Maka up to second in the order and maybe looking at if a big bid comes in for Alan Olivier, maybe consider it. Particularly if it would help us finance and move for an absolute god, you know? And there are a few out there that are just well out of our price range. But with the right transfer business, we could maybe wheel and deal a situation to bring one of those guys in. So that's fullbacks. So I was going to skip DMs because we don't really use it very much, but I did want to have a look at the difference between Coronel and Prado to see if the stuff I'd noticed in the matches is actually coming into fruition when we look at the stats and see how they bear out. So pass completion, very clearly, Coronel better at passes. Goes without saying. Key passes, however, Prado is basically keeping up with him on that. Tackles won, 92% to 91. But look at this. This interception thing here is what interests me a bit more, in a way. Prado is very, very good at intercepting stuff. He's sort of more like a Conte type of player, I guess. Headers-wise, he does attempt a lot more aerial challenges too, but we do concede more goals with him in the team, and he covers less ground. Neither of them have really covered themselves in glory, and I think it's just going to have to be a kind of play-it-by-ear sort of situation with these two. Because I like Prado more when he plays. When I see him playing, I see less mistakes being made. But I just don't know with them. Let's see if we can do a direct comparison between Prado and Coronel and just see if there's anything else we can maybe pick up from the statistics and just have it set to the league. Because they've made very few... Well, actually, no. Why would we want the league? We want the Champions League. Because, yeah. So, Coronel... He's got a few assists, makes less key passes, but does complete way more passes. He wins a lot less tackles, though. And it's nearly the same. And it actually covers less ground overall there. and his average rating is actually slightly worse, but that's probably been bumped up by the 1 goal he did score. I don't know. Let's just look at the attribute graphs and see what's different. So, Prado should, in theory, be worse in every conceivable way than Coronel. Prado stands out only in his free kicks, which is irrelevant to this. His penalty taking, which is irrelevant to this. He does have good tackling and technique. His leadership and determination are very high, and he's a bit stronger. But I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that he's right-footed. It allows him to do stuff. I don't know. It's interesting. I would say let me know who you think. Actually, do let me know which of these two you think should be starting. But give me your reasons for it as well. Don't just be like, because they're the better player, because that's not really what we're looking at here. Well, we are, but you know what I mean. I don't know if I'll be able to take that into consideration, but it's still just a weird one for me. I wasn't sure what I expected to find, but it's noteworthy just how much better he is in terms of interceptions. Like, he really is cutting out stuff, and maybe that's more... Maybe that relies more heavily in the style of football that we play than other things, perhaps, like the pass completion maybe isn't quite so relevant. Then again, we do concede less goals with Coronel in the team, so I don't know, weird one. Let's move on to the centre mids. So we're really only looking at Orozco, Gorosito and Francisco, because we've got a few others, but they've not played for us, and they might come in the future, but these are the only guys that have actually played in this role this season. Treverio played there a couple of times, but his stats are all over the place due to how often he's played up front, not up front, but further up the pitch as well, so we can't really use that as a barometer. So pass completion, an important... Oh, we're still in DMs. Let's make sure we don't do that. Let's make sure we're on CMs. There we go. So, goals per 90 minutes. Gorosito better than Orozco in terms of goals. He really does love a goal. But not a huge amount more, but definitely enough. And they've well outclassed Francisco comfortably. Assists per 90 minutes, though. Francisco does have a few more, given that he's got 2, and Gorosito only has 3. So Francisco definitely seems to have more assists. And he started 10 games. So, you know, it's not nothing to be sniffed at. It's certainly a lot less than the others, but it's definitely worth looking at. Pass completion, though, Orozco out in front comfortably. And in terms of chance creation, once again, Francisco seems to be slightly more creative in terms of chances. And I wonder why that is. I used to have a setup on these that would actually show key attributes for the positions, but there just wasn't enough room. I think what I might do for Huesca is actually make a new set of analyses that we can use one for this, and then another one that has like CM attribute analysis that maybe highlights key stuff so we can do a bit more of a comparison, because I'm going to be doing stuff throughout the season with Huesca, like almost every other episode sometimes, where I'm just comparing stuff to sort of see who's playing better and stuff. That way we can really try to figure out what's going on. I'm really looking forward to trying something out like that. I'm probably going to balls it up, but hey, that's part of the fun, isn't it? Cross completion is totally irrelevant for CMs. Passes complete. We want the key passes. That's kind of most important. Gorosito definitely makes more key passes than Orozco by a comfortable distance, in fact. Orozco seems to be more of the... He's a better... I would say he's a better player in the tackle, but actually, when you look at it, he's won less tackles as well than Gorosito. He does love an interception, and he's much, much better in the air. So it seems to me like Orozco is still the better defensive player, but not from purely on the ground. He's better at intercepting, and he's great in the air, which gives him a sort of... just gives him that extra priority there. And it means that he sort of just gets the ball, knocks it down to Gorosito, and that's generally how it happens. Gorosito plays as the deep line playmaker, and Orozco's mainly played as the box-to-box. Which is why it's interesting that Gorosito actually has more goals than him. So, yeah, I do think maybe we could look for... I don't know, do we need a world-class player in this role when you've got 2 players that are 4.5 stars and 4 stars respectively? Maybe some backup, but we already have backup at the club. And I just don't think it's... Obviously, we're still planning for future seasons still, which is why I'm still signing young players, like I showed you, like Yost and whatnot. But just looking at this from a YouTube perspective right now, I just don't know if that's really the zone that needs improving. I'm trying to find out where we really need someone. And honestly, I'm struggling. I'm genuinely struggling to find out where we actually need someone. Maybe I could find a world-class striker. Like a 5-star type of striker. And there's only a few of these in the world, but maybe that's just what we're missing. Someone who is that next level. I don't know. Let's have a look at attacking mids. Okay, so an area where we are very much stacked. I know Pimentino, I said he was 5th choice, but that was because I was including Gorosito in that. Look at this. This is one area where we are very much not in need of any new players right now. If anything, we could probably do with thinning the herd a tiny little bit just to get some money in for other stuff, to be honest. But we'll see. Goals per 90 minutes. Vicente, really, really high. Carroll, phenomenal as well. Airbnb. Damn it. I fell into the trap of actually... you know how hard it is to actually not call him Airbnb or Hotels.com or Booking.com or Trivago. It's been so tough. But there we go. So Treverio, yeah, not as good on the goals. Just as simple as that. But we kind of have to ignore this for now, really. Assist-wise, though, Carroll, again, pretty solid. Treverio, pretty solid as well. Vicente is more of a pure attack-minded one of those, it would seem. But Carroll, Solid on the attacking, very good in fact, and really good for the assists as well. Interesting. Chance creation. It would appear that Vicente actually creates the most chances. Just seems that his teammates are incapable of putting it in the back of the net. Because as far as I'm aware, a chance... Well, we know what a chance created. I assume it's the pass that leads to an opportunity that counts as either a half chance or a clear-cut chance. So, I don't know. Maybe it's because he gets further forward. I'm not sure about that one. Cross completion, I don't think it's that important, but it is worthy to note that 22% is quite high on that one. Pass completion. Okay. Again, very, very solid. These two... pretty much neck and neck on everything here. Key passes, again, he's out in front massively on that one, which would explain why he's got such a high assist number, because he creates more chances, or he creates a decent number of chances. He's a good passer of the ball, and he creates more key passes. So that would make sense. Carroll just sort of lacking on these ones. He's not brilliant. He's not far behind, but he is definitely a little bit lower. But he's certainly not shown that with the number of assists he's actually got this season, in fairness. Headers one, an area where he really does struggle, though, it seems to be the aerial stuff. Carroll, really good in the air. Vicente, much better in the air. And another thing is worth knowing, you can really see this here. Treverio, 29% shots on target is abysmal for what we want him to do. And that would explain why he's been so poor in front of goal. Vicente, much better. Carroll, phenomenal for that role. And he's hit the target a lot per 90 minutes. Treverio is a great dribbler, whereas Vicente just isn't. But Carroll seems to be able to do everything. Like, that's kind of what I'm seeing here. Carroll is the best of both worlds. Vicente is a very good goal scorer, not so good on the creative side of things. Treverio is a much better creative player than he is a goal scorer, as is evidenced by this. It kind of feels like Carroll probably should be the... Look at 8.48 in his last 5 games. Carroll probably should be first choice in a way, because he does both. And he does both to a really high level. And maybe the Vicente Treverio thing, if they're both still here next season, I am concerned about that, is maybe we use them when we need a certain thing. If we're struggling for creativity, Treverio. If we're wanting to if we're looking creative but can't put the ball away, Vicente. I love seeing things like that. I think it really does help you in the long run when you come to pick this sort of stuff. So that's definitely worth noting. Yeah, we definitely don't need more. We do have more players in this role as well. You'll notice here, in terms of potential-wise, I mean, look at this. We've got Andreu, we've got Diaz. There's so many good young players here. Even Bering could even count in that one, to be perfectly honest. Look at that. Andreu's got 3 goals in 1 appearance. I assume that was for the B team, though, so it doesn't really count. But still, very, very impressed with that. Lots of options in that zone. Let's go and look at the wingers. Okay, so wingers this year, Broniszewski, Lisik, Foposi and Waterberg. Very interested, as always. In theory, it should be the simple case of Lisik and Foposi being out in front, Waterberg and Broniszewski seeing how close they can get to their abilities. And I think that's kind of what we're measuring those two by in terms of how close they've managed to get to their partner, so to speak. So Foposi actually has the best goals to games ratio at 4.44, but Blaise Lisik at 0.41 is pretty damn good too. Broniszewski actually better than Waterberg at 0.23, so he's had a solid year, the youngster. Waterberg just been a bit off the pace in that sense this year. Assists per 90 minutes. Lisik at 0.85 is ridiculous, but Waterberg at 0.46 is also not bad when you think about it. Foposi at 0.41, pretty damn good. Broniszewski, I would like Foposi to have more in honesty. Broniszewski, he's not that far off the pace, to be honest. Like, it's not a noticeable gap. I mean, it is a noticeable gap. It's, 33% more. But still, it's not like he's on, 0.12 or something. That's what I mean. He's actually putting up numbers that are reasonable. Although what I would say is it's much more noticeable here. Lisik and Waterberg, chances created per 90 minutes is actually identical. Foposi's not bad. Broniszewski, though, less than half of Foposi's there, so he's not got the creative side of things down just yet. Cross completion, and I think this is where it really shows. Lisik at 26 is phenomenal. Foposi at 20 is actually really good for that side. Waterberg at 19 is actually still really good. But Broniszewski at 7 is a real problem. And I think comes from the crossing of 12 compared to Foposi's crossing of 15. I don't know. Broniszewski's just not been able to do as much in terms of his crossing, and it's really obvious. Waterberg, a 90% cross completion ratio is absolutely phenomenal, frankly. The only reason it looks bad is because Lisik's 26% is otherworldly good. Like, if I had players with 20% cross completion, I would be really happy with their performances. This is just on his own level. However, this is, that definitely is worth looking at. Lisik just never completes as many passes. He doesn't need to. He's so good. He just gets around it. Broniszewski, though, good pass completion. I'm all right with that. But, again, key passes struggles a little bit on that side of things. And once again, though, Waterberg's numbers aren't even that bad, and that would make sense considering how much potential the game seems to think he's got. Maybe he's just had an unlucky season. But I think I've said this a few times now. It feels like Donny Waterberg has all the attributes, and the game is saying this guy should be good, but for whatever reason, he even has the actual stats to back it up in terms of his chance creation, his pass percentage. Everything is there except for the actual data on paper, and it might just be that Lisic has played too many games this year, and Waterberg just simply hasn't got enough opportunities to actually show what he can do. Because the ratio ones are the key ones. They're of a reasonable level, to be fair. So maybe I should cut him a bit of slack, in all honesty. I don't know. Shots on target. For Posse, 60%. Lisic, 56%. Waterberg and Broniszewski at 45 and 44. I'd like them to be closer to 50, but they're not embarrassingly low, in fairness. Let's make that very clear. Broniszewski does not hit the target a lot in total, and I think one area where he might be struggling a little bit is the dribbling, but he's not that far off, again, for Posse. It's just because Lisic and Waterberg are so good that it really does put that into perspective. And what I would say as well is that Broniszewski covers a shitload of ground. I would be very interested, actually, in comparing him to Posse from a defensive perspective. And maybe that's an area where he's going underrated because we don't look at that stat. Maybe he's actually just a much better defensive player. Let's just filter it by statistics and have it by league. Right, so tackles 1 per 90 minutes. 1.1 is, look, he's won every tackle he's made, and he covers more ground. He doesn't hit the target enough, and he does play a lot of passes. Key passes isn't bad either. Assists per 90 minutes as well in the league is very good. Broniszewski, I think, has just struggled a little bit. Maybe it's just not enough game time. I think, but the one thing that does concern me is his cross completion. That is really low. So we'll have a look at that. But I still think we're fine in this sense. For Posse, maybe he could do with a better backup, but I really wanted to give Broniszewski a chance because, again, young Polish players, I want to make sure they get their opportunities, Let's look at strikers. Okay, last but not least, we've got Zico, Firmino, and, of course, Ibrahima Pereira. I want to see Zico's numbers because I just want to see how he's done for his minutes, although it's a lot of substitute appearances, and that is what's concerning me a little bit. But we'll see. I still want to see how far off the pace Firmino has been, how far off the pace Zico is of Pereira, and whatnot. Goals per 90 minutes. Pereira has actually been the highest this year, and I think last year that was Firmino. So it's been a real comeback season for Ibrahima Pereira. But the fact is, Firmino is not far behind him one iota. Quite the drop-off, though, to Zico. That's fair to say, but maybe over a full season he'd have a slightly more luck. I don't know. From an assist perspective, though, Firmino, again, just a much more creative player this year. I mean, look at that. He's got double the number of assists in half the number of minutes. And he's more creative there. Cross completion, again, much, much more like it, and that might be another reason why. Zico's look good, though. Pass completion slightly more, though, from Pereira. Key passes per 90 minutes. Again, you can really see, though, standing out that Firmino is just a much better player in terms of putting other players into the match. He's very good at creating chances for other players, too. Zico's, Pereira's not bad, but he's definitely nowhere near on the same level. He does hit the target more, though, but it's not by much. I guess over 3 shots on target per game, which is an insane amount. Headers won, more. He does win a lot more headers in the air. Not like he's going to win them on the floor. Zico has not got the height that Firmino and Pereira have. Pereira, despite being the same height as Firmino, is definitely much more aerially superior in terms of the headers per 90 minutes. But what I would say is his headers won ratio isn't that much better, but look at the number of key headers. That is an astonishing amount. Zico, though, loves the dribble, so does Firmino. So as usual, we've kind of come to the conclusion that Pereira this year has just been an out-and-out striking god, although Firmino's not far behind. Once again, though, Firmino, better at creating chances for other players, not quite as good in the air, but he is a better dribbler. I just don't know. I feel like if I could find a player that is an absolute, like top quality player to go in and play instead, maybe then I would spend the money there. I don't know. Trying to find like a 5-star striker or a player that bringing him in would actually reduce the stars of some of our other players. That's how good they are. That's kind of the only reason I think that we could really strengthen right now. Because obviously what I've been doing a lot of the time is building it through young players, so we don't end up having to pay 150 million for a player. Like, we spent a lot of money on for Posse purely because I felt like it was the right deal at the time, and honestly I still do, but I would have much rather brought someone through like a Broniszewski because it's cost us nothing. And when we have brought these players young, they've cost us, 5-6 million here, sometimes upwards of 15 million, but that's still nothing compared to 150 million. The sell-on value is ridiculous. If we sold this squad, we'd probably make about £500 million, if not more. Not that I want to do that, but I feel like some players might leave this summer because I've just been a bit concerned about Alberto Freitas' ability to influence people. I've had to upset people a bit more than I was before, and that is maybe because other players are gaining influence in the squad. He's no longer able to be like, just sit the fuck down and stay. But I don't know about that. It's a weird one. Okay, so word of the day is hydrocare. Em's left this random like chapstick on my desk, so that is going to be the word of the day, hydrocare. If you've reached this point in the video, drop that in the comments. This is going to be the last sort of analysis video for this save that you get to see. I'm not going to do one next season when we finish, because I don't think it's really that important at that point. So yeah, and obviously with Huesca, you won't be seeing these because we'll only be doing one season, but you will, if those of you that like these videos, will be seeing a lot more stuff in the normal episodes and way more that will probably interest you anyway. So if anything, you're actually going to get more of this, not less. So because I'm always going to be doing little comparisons, because we're going to be trying to figure it out on the fly during the season, because I really am looking forward to seeing how much you can get out of a team if you utilize every single thing that FM has available to you. Because when I've actually really sat down, like I did with Stockport, where we had that real problem, and then I figured it out and we beat Everton 6-0 in the next match, and then with City, where we were 3-0 down for the first leg, and I did some changes, figured it out, and we won 5-0. I do wonder if you can actually do that on a regular basis and achieve insane things. Although honestly, I just want to stay out with Huesca because I feel like that's impossible. But I just want to see how much you can actually get out of it if you really get out what you put in. But I really want to see if that is genuinely true. So if you've enjoyed this video, drop a like, that'd be glorious. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, that'd be brilliant as well. And I'll join you guys tomorrow, in fact, for some transfer stuff. Who knows? I might be able to break the transfer record back in the Gopnik Gobs for the final time. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.